5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Test, test.
This working? Oh, there we go. All right. Is everyone in the press ready? You know, we can't start without them. Y'all all good? Wow. Well, good morning. It is amazing what a weekend does to these legislators. Look how much they're smiling now. I certainly, first off, want to thank both the Speaker and the Senate President and these legislators who have shown the people of Louisiana that they came here to do their bidding and that they could do it in an efficient and effective manner. I mean, I'm telling you, I've never seen work done so swiftly and so efficiently and so effectively while maintaining public input and listening to the general public about the things that are going to absolutely work to get Louisiana safe. And then, of course, to the victims and to the families who came here, who labored here, who have been laboring year after year after year demanding justice, I want you to know that this would not be possible without you. These ladies and gentlemen in the legislature need to hear from you. They need to understand the plight that y'all have made, and I cannot thank you enough. And every citizen in this state is forever indebted for the work that y'all did over these last couple of weeks. And then, of course, to our men and women in uniform, to all of the law enforcement officers out there who have been waiting for an opportunity for the public and the legislature to let them know how much we appreciate them. We appreciate them standing on that thin blue line, protecting us from those who want to wreak havoc in our communities and not allow us to live in some peace. And so we hope that this package of legislation gives them some comfort. And of course, behind every man and woman in uniform is a family, right? And the sacrifices that they make each and every day as their loved ones go out day in and day out, night after night, through holidays and weekends and bad weather to protect us. And so again, I want to thank them. And then finally, I want to thank the stakeholders, the organizations, MAD, NRA, Women for Gun Rights, the victims' rights advocates, all of them who helped us get this done. You know, this is what I ran on. Last year, when we went out around the state asking people to support our campaign, and remember, I always said this was our campaign. And today, we basically fulfill that promise, one of the first promises we made, that we were going to deal with crime, and we did it in a way where we listened to you all. And so I want to thank you again. And of course, we all know the statistics of how poorly Louisiana ranks in safety, right? And we all complain about the outward migration that has been going on in this state consistently, decade after decade. And we hear the stories, and everybody complains. Well, it's just logical that people will not come to a place where it's not safe, right? And so today we sign those bills to start to make Louisiana safe. And then we go back into a regular session to start to work on educational reform and economic opportunity. And you see, you take one step after another, because I see all the smiling faces and all the women in here, and you know how you put that little toddler up on his feet, and he takes one step after another, and then next thing you know, you're trying to catch him around the house, right? And that's what this state and we're going to do. We're going to take one step after another. We know that some of our great cities are plagued with crime. We know that the city of New Orleans has a crime rate that's 150% higher than the national average. We know, we said those statistics earlier, that 1 in every 14 young black males in New Orleans will most likely be murdered before they make 35. That is just a horrible statistic. But this package of bills is the beginning. And I want to make sure that everyone understands this as the press reports on this, as you watch this, that this is not just a one and done, right? It's just like when we get into educational reform, it won't be a one and done. When we get to economic reform, when we get to infrastructure, those things, the things that we do this year are only, again, the first step, laying the foundation to getting Louisiana off the bottom and onto the top. And then sadly, I'll say, if you look at the cost of crime, just in the 3 major cities in this state, over year in after year in, the cost of crime in just Shreveport, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans have cost the state, those cities, and our citizens $6 billion a year. Now think about that cost, $6 billion a year. And so, again, I want to thank the legislature and the leadership for recognizing that these things are important to the economic viability of our state. And today we bring some justice to victims. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to be joined by Executive Counsel Angelique Friel, and we're going to go up to the table. And then as we sign bill after bill, we'll invite the legislators who were involved in those particular bills and those victims or their families to come and we'll sign off. And then the other thing I'll say too, for those victims and the legislatures who have such an investment in these bills, which are getting ready to become law, that we have made a copy of the front page of the bill and the signing and the signature page. And when we're done, because we know the press has to get back and report on all this correctly, right? And it's just, I like y'all guys, you know. But we'll invite y'all to come in the back, and what we'll do is we'll sign each one of the, if you want, and we'll give you a pen that we signed it so that you can have that as a memorial of all the hard work that y'all have done. So we'll start. Okay. To call up Representative Lauren Ventrella. Is on here? She didn't tell you? No, she's right here. Oh, she's coming. They'll make a hole for you. Come on in. Lauren is here, both representing herself, her district, and of course Senator Beth Mizell, and then Monica Taylor. Is Monica here? Where's Monica? Come on, Monica. I mean, the fact that I got to call you up is problematic. Monica, she's just been great. We've been working together for a long time. She worked for me at the Attorney General's office, did a lot of our domestic violence and sexual assault training, where she helped to train law enforcement and prosecutors and victims' rights so that we could bring those people to justice. But this legislation is preserving the prosecution for rape because we know that it is such a heinous crime and that all rape victims deserve justice. And you know, often sometimes these crimes are not prosecuted due to a lack of traditional evidence or arbitrary time limitations. And so today's legislation is going to expand the prosecution period for us to ensure that when that evidence does come up within this period of time, that we're able to bring those people to justice. And so again, I want to thank Lauren and Senator Beth Mizell for this as well. All right. Okay. All right. And then now I'd like to bring up Representative Rhonda Butler and Senator Mike Reese. Did Mike make it? No, Mike didn't make it? Okay. Poor Mike. Talked to him over the weekend. He was working hard back home. And then, of course, anyone else who has worked on this legislation, this is the drug court legislation. This is expanding our access to drug courts. If anyone else wanted to come up. And yeah, Chris, yeah, come on. Chris, oh my God, Chris, you could just stay up here, you know, really is. But I tell you just a brief story about this. And I see a couple of the district attorneys who are in the audience. Stephen Dwight, I know Philip's here. You know, several years ago, we worked on reform for our drug courts. If you want to look for true criminal justice reform, right, meaningful reform, where a good person who makes a bad decision gets a second chance, these types of specialty courts actually bring us that. And throughout, I don't remember even when we started. It might have been during COVID or 2020. Yeah. We started with a great working group who understood the need to expand drug courts, because we've seen the great stories that have come out of drug court and the successes. Because people there's two things they get to do, right? They get a second chance, and they also get to address substance abuse at the same time. And so this is where the state actually gets a 2-for-1 in it. And so again, this bill is actually going to do that. It's going to expand our drug courts. It's going to give our DAs and our prosecutors and our judges an opportunity to take care of those who sometimes make a bad decision, but deserve a second chance. And so again, I can't thank Mike and Rhonda for this important piece of legislation. All right. Okay, let's see. I'll keep that one. Yeah. All right, so then Representative Nikki Muscarella and Senator Klein Peter. So this is the death penalty reform. And so again, any of the families that are here today, Mr. Wayne, Ms. Carol, Philip, and anyone. I mean, I think there's, I know that Philip's here. If anyone is here, yeah, y'all come on, we got plenty of time. For y'all, we will wait all day for y'all. I know Stephen Dwight, Billy Joe Harrington, Philip Terrell, the district attorneys that are here. Y'all come on. Come on. How are you? Good, everybody? All right. You know, this is not a bill I signed lightly. I said in the opening, that our criminal justice system has lost its balance. And the steps we take to restore that balance are sometimes difficult for some. However, I am a strong believer that our laws must be faithfully executed and followed. And that the rule of law is not something under which we can pick or choose. It's not like a buffet. And both to the district attorneys and many of the assistant district attorneys who are out there who take these types of cases on, the amount of hours, the amount of stress that is put on the legal system before we even get to the victims and the families, and the time and the perseverance. To me, it's the perseverance that these families have consistently waded through, have negotiated through a very complex legal system to ensure that the defendants are guilty. And as they work their way from the district court through the appellate court and then up to the Supreme Court, there's a lot that goes on. But I think we should remember the tragedy that each one of these families have lived with day in after day out as they have sought their justice, as others have tried to put artificial barricades in front of them and the justice that they deserve. And so this has been, I believe, a long road. And I have spoke to many of those who are here in this audience and many who couldn't be here today, who came and testified before the legislature and who told their stories. And when you just think about the amount of pain that it would take to go back and to reenact and to talk about those that they loved, it just, to me, it gives you the resolve of the justice that they deserve. And so today, we signed this bill for them and for the victims who have been a part of some of the most heinous crimes in the state. And we do it in order to hopefully deter people, to let them know that in a peaceful civilization, these are not the types of conduct and acts that are going to be tolerated here in the state of Louisiana. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I guess we could do these all at once. Okay, so this next package of bills, I'd like to bring up Representative Debbie Villio. Debbie, where you at, Debbie? Oh, there you go. Senator Jay Morris, I don't know if he's here. Lauren Lamperit, any of the other DAs, if y'all want to come back up for this bill signing. Yeah, I'm gonna hold that one. Yeah. And first of all, I just can't say enough about my appreciation for Representative Villio. The amount of work and dedication that she put into this, and it just didn't start this year. It's something that she's been working on for a long time. And for the district attorneys that are here, and as they represent the rest of the DAs around the state, this is absolutely something that has been needed for a long time. These three bills, one is the Truth in Sentencing bill, and which deals with probation and parole violation, will make offenders eligible for release once they have served 85% of their time. And this is not anything new. The federal system has had this in place forever. And the most amazing thing I saw as the Attorney General was when the feds would come in and help us, and we were going to charge someone with federal crimes, all of a sudden, they started behaving. It's amazing. When they knew, because they knew that if they were caught and they were charged with a federal crime and they were found guilty, they were going to jail for a set period of time that they could calculate. And one of the biggest grievances that I heard from the public as the Attorney General, and after we went through the criminal justice reform in 2017, was that the ability to calculate time and understand for victims how long those who had affected them, who had disrupted their lives, were going to serve in jail, right? Because that's the justice inside the criminal justice system. And I couldn't even tell them. I'd go around and then about 2 years later, we started getting lawsuits because we were over detaining people, they claimed, because we couldn't calculate the time. You'd call over at DOC, they said, we really can't. Now think about that. And it also is not fair for the defendants as well, because they get caught up trying to figure out, how do they get out or when they're going to get out. And so this bill brings a tremendous amount of clarity to the criminal justice system. It says you're going to do 85%. Judges have the ability to sentence those based upon case by cases. But the judge will even be able to know exactly, hey, if I sentence this person to 10 years, they're serving 8.5 years. This places the discretion and the responsibility back where it belongs on the judges, okay? Sign this one. All right. Debbie, which one's your favorite?
They're all my
They're all your
favorite, but the truth in sentencing.
You get the pen for that
The truth
one.
in
How you like
sentencing
that?
has
There you
been
go.
my baby.
All right. Okay. So then this one is. Okay. Well, let's see. Then we had the probation. Well, this is the truth in sentencing as well. So these two bills are basically companion bills, right? So it allows the first one we just signed work unless we sign this one, which is the truth in sentencing. And so it allows those that serve the 85% to be able to serve off the other 15% of their time when they do certain things during that 85% to make them able to re-enter society, right? This gives them the incentive needed to go out there and ensure that they get a GED, that they work on skills, that we do things so that when people come out of jail, we want them to succeed. And sometimes I think the public, maybe even the press, doesn't understand or appreciate the fact that we don't want people to go to jail and come back to jail, right? We want jail to be a deterrent, okay? We want people who go there to be able to recognize that they have violated the law, that they have disrupted our communities, and so that when they get out, they can go out and say, you know what, I made a mistake, and now we're going to be a better citizen. We understand that they can work on keeping our community safe. And so again, these two bills together do exactly that. And then the last component to it is let's see, hold on. We got so many. Debbie, you did so good. I get confused. Okay, here it is. Okay. So this bill restores the ability of the judges, again, to institute longer probationary periods when they deem appropriate. Again, so these three bills are actually component pieces. They're like a three-piece puzzle. And when you put them together, they strengthen the system by giving clarity to victims, by creating transparency in the criminal justice system, and then by allowing those who break our laws and then a sentence and who face the judges to be able to go in and out of the criminal justice system so that they never return. And so again, this places again, as the young lady who appreciated the fact that we've given the judges the discretion and we're placing the responsibility back on them. And of course, if they don't do their job, then you'll get to hold them accountable, right? All right. All right, let's see. What? Thank you all so much. Thank you. Let's see something here. Stephen, there you go. We'll give you one. And then where's Philip?
Thank you,
Who else was here? Where's Billy Joe? You Billy Joe one. Absolutely.
Thank you,
Okay. Okay, these two bills. All right. Senator Blake Miguez, Representative Mike Johnson, Representative Bo Boye, and of course everyone else who wants to come up. NRA, Women's for Diane Mullet. Diane, is Diane here? Huh? You coming? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We got the
Y'all
Louisiana
come.
Shooting Association.
The Louisiana Shooting.
Gun owners.
Go ahead.
If we can invite all of our Second Amendment advocates.
Justin
the
Crossing.
Louisiana Shooting Association, the Gun Owners of America, the National Association of Gun Rights, the NRA, and most importantly, our Women for Gun Rights in our local chapter here in Louisiana, some of our locals in the industry, some of our world champion shooters, besides myself, and some of our social media celebrities. If y'all could all get together, this is a wonderful moment for Louisiana and our citizens' Second Amendment rights.
I want to tell you, the passage of these bills has absolutely, and the response has been absolutely amazing. I've heard from more women about this bill than anything else. In fact, yesterday I went over to the dentist. Every once in a while they let me out, and as when I walked in, this nice young lady was at the receptionist, and she recognized me, and she said, I knew you were coming in today, and my daughter wanted me to tell you how much she appreciated what happened this session. And I was like, oh, really? No. And her daughter's like 21, 22 years old, and she told her mother that the biggest piece of legislation for her was this bill, which really makes me believe how much fear must be in our female population in this state of crime. And she just told her mother to please thank you. And I told her, of course, Beck, I said, well, listen, make sure that your daughter goes out there and gets some great education and safety on guns, which is the second component to this bill as well. But for that young lady, I didn't get, I know her mom's name is Tina. I didn't get her name. Today's her day, as well as many other women as well. And of course, this isn't unusual. Today, Louisiana now joins 27 other states that have enacted the same type of legislation. So for those of y'all who are critical of this, okay, who claim that this bill in some kind of way is going to deter law enforcement, it's not. Because it doesn't deter law enforcement in Tennessee. It doesn't deter it in Mississippi or Arkansas or in Texas. In fact, I went back and looked. Broadway, which is a beautiful street in Nashville and is now attracting more people than Bourbon Street in New Orleans. But we're going to get that back, right, guys? Right? Their state has the same. So there are two components to this bill. One, it's ensuring that law-abiding citizens are not harassed or have to ask the government permission to do that which the Second Amendment allows them to do. Fair enough? And then it also incentivizes citizens. And this is an important component because I don't know if any other state has that component in it.
First state statutorily.
This is the first state that what we do is, instead of mandating and telling our citizens what kind of conduct they need to engage in, we try to help them. We try to educate them. We want to make sure that the concealed carry permit system that we put in place remains and that it's robust. Why? Because when people go through that program, they learn gun safety. They learn how to handle a firearm. They learn the responsibility of carrying that firearm as well. And so these two pieces of legislation, one, the constitutional carry component, but then the second part incentivizes citizens who go out and continue to maintain or get a concealed carry permit. You will have a greater immunity should you have to use that particular firearm. So in other words, if you get into a position under which you have to defend yourself, only under the stand your ground or castle doctrine, that you don't have, and you have a concealed carry permit, you don't have to worry about civil liability because that's been raised. Okay, that protects you. And so we want to encourage our citizens to go out there and to maintain and continue to get their concealed carry permits. And so Blake, and this was easy too, right? I mean, it only gone through the legislature like how many times?
The last governor couldn't get it done, but this one definitely will.
Well, there you go. And look, and of course to the NRA, my great friends, we appreciate, and all the gun rights groups, we appreciate all of the things that y'all have done, and we look forward to continuing. Come on, you can have this one. How about that? There you go. Especially after that. Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. We got one photo we can get, right?
Okay. Oh, wait, Randy, I didn't see you. Andrew, hey,
Governor. Thank you.
So we could just get one photo with you guys, Johnson, and then Andrew and Randy.
Yeah, come on in.
we get Johnson.
Hey, come on in. Yeah. No, no.
Both Johnson. Both Johnson and Johnson.
Okay.
Here we go, guys. Andrew, you could take a step up. Sorry, if you want to come to this side? Right here. Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
Okay, Andrew, you want to sit down?
Yeah, Andrew's
Yeah.
down. Andrew's
Sit.
down.
Do you mind, Gov?
Yeah, sit down.
There you go.
Absolutely not. Come on. There we go.
I'll be right behind you.
So much.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Okay, so let's. Oh,
Thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. And we'll get some, I'll get a signed copy for y'all.
Awesome.
Just for
And
y'all.
a picture.
Absolutely. Yeah, not a problem. Okay. You see how much work these folks have been doing? Geez. Okay, so let's see where we are. All right. So now I'd like to call up Senator Rick Edmonds. And I want to thank Mark Wright. I think Mark helped you in this as well. And of course, the mothers, there we go. Come on, ladies.
Governor, these are some great heroes right here that, regardless of their tragedy, they stand with us in Louisiana. They're amazing people. I know you know it.
And all of y'all are part of MAG, right? Yes, this is the Mothers Against Drunk Driving group who have so valiantly and courageously continued to work to make Louisiana's streets safe. And of course, I know they do a tremendous amount of, I know Colonel Rob Hodges with the state police. Come on, Hodges, they can see you in here. Yeah, come on, you come in here. Come on in here. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Look, you know, one of the saddest statistics is that Louisiana continues to lead the nation in the highest rate of DWI recidivism. It's not just those that we're catching or that are driving impaired, but those that continue to drive impaired. And it has the highest rate of road fatality due to alcohol. This law is going to help to align Louisiana with the majority of other states in making driver's license suspensions match the interlock period that they had. And so this was a gap in the law that needed to be filled in. And I want to thank y'all for pointing it out to us. And look, I think what we're doing here today shows that, again, every time the legislature goes in and every time they enact good policy, it doesn't mean that we all get it right the first time. But as long as we're committed and we stay committed to the things that we need to make our streets and our highways and our state safe, then we will ultimately come up with a nice, perfect law, and hopefully we won't have these sad stories, right? Okay. All right. So. That's it? Okay.
Governor, can you give that to Ms. Paul right here?
Yep.
Do you mind? She's been leading the charge.
Thank you. And if y'all want, we'll get y'all each a signed copy. I mean, like when we done, everybody can. Thank you. 100%. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Governor. Thank you. Thank you for your staff too.
Thank you.
For all their help.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. Yeah, hey, good. You go come get us. Okay, all right. Okay, Senator McMahon? No, you didn't come? Shoot, oh, there we go. I told you she was great.
Chris is here.
And Chris. Okay, so this is the post-conviction reform. Now, this law, we hope, will stem the tide of late, duplicative, and meritless claims, saving the victims and their families from continually being drugged back into court and having to relive that trauma, right? And I think that this is important because the DAs understand, and the judges understand, and the lawyers understand that the way the current law worked was basically an opportunity for those who were convicted, even after they had an appeal, to continue to clog our justice system, right? And so, again, while many people out there will make hay over what they believe are the cost of some of these measures, I believe there is no cost that we can pay that's high enough to support safety and our victims. But this piece of legislation will actually reduce costs all right? This will actually free up our criminal justice system. This will help to clarify and make the job of our district attorneys, our prosecutors, and our judges less onerous so that they can concentrate on doing the things that they do, and that is administering the justice. So it eliminates a tremendous amount of time and energy inside of our court system. And again, it is one of those, what I believe, one of those pieces of legislation that helps to balance out cost on one side, savings on the other. All right. Good. One more. Okay, one more. Probation and parole reform. Representative Brian Fontenot. Oh, geez, he couldn't make it either. Okay, is anyone from DOC, Gary? Tony? Tony's here. So we're gonna give Tony this pen. Poor fella, he's been working so hard on this all these years. Look, this is important. The law only works as long as you can apply it fairly across to everyone, right? But Louisiana, has had its share of those inside the criminal justice system that are tasked with running the criminal justice system to be able to cherry pick convicted criminals for post-conviction relief while waiving all the other procedures. And of course, that frustrates victims. And so what we want to do is make sure, again, that the laws are applied evenly and that victims, that there's no gotcha moment. There's no opportunity for a victim to walk around the corner in the grocery store or public gas or going to a coffee shop and seeing someone who has victimized them and not knowing that they got out of jail. I mean, how many times, right? How many times? And for the public who doesn't understand, when victims are, when you become a victim of violent crime, it's a tragedy that never goes away, okay? It's something you live with again and again and again. And so creating certainty and transparency in the criminal justice system is something that we have promised. And this law is, and I think it being the last one, right? Yes. Is very fitting because this is one of the pieces of legislation that are now going to become law that helps to restore the balance in our criminal justice system. So. You got it. Is that it? Yeah, we'll get the copies in the mic. Okay, I'll go close.
We'll do more tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll close up. Again, I want to thank everyone. I mean, when you look around this room and the people that are here today, it really puts a smile on my face. Why? Because this is the whole reason I ran for governor, was to make people more involved in the process and in a government that belongs to you, that belongs to me. That's why each one of these legislators here run. They run to represent you. They go out during election season and they ask you for your vote. And after we win, it is our responsibility to respond to the things that made you want to vote for us. And so, again, I think that this is just an unbelievable way to start this year in this administration by going back to those same people and saying, you know what, these are promises made and promises delivered. And we hope that this also brings peace to so many of you who deserve it. God bless you. Thank you so very much.